But okay, so I've for my reading series here. This may seem an odd one to like do on a 9/11 episode, but I don't know. Like, if you're not of a certain age and we're not plugged into the political blogosphere, this will seem insane to you. But what I'm about to read, but consider it's even more insane because this was considered like a game-changing essay that like defined an era. And when this guy died recently, people like Meghan McArdle were singing his praises. I'm talking, of course, about the famous internet screed, "The Pussification of the Western Male" by Kim Du Toit.
Kim Du Toit.
Kim Du Toit.
Let's talk about that pussification, Senor Du Toit.
When you get that estrogen in the drinking water, the jackrabbit gonna kiss a grizzly bear.
This was a much celebrated, much shared sort of like call to arms among the America's armchair warriors, the war bloggers. And I think you see the DNA of a lot of like contemporary conservatism in this essay. But I mean, it's a great example of like the writing style and like mentality of this era.
These were
and like I said, like the liberal bloggers and like people who are trying to do this from like a not a left wing, just like a pro-Democrat perspective. I don't think they wanted to be this guy, but I think they wanted his approval. Like, this was the baseline that was considered reasonable and like the new dominant point of view among like American culture that had to be respected or at least acknowledged. So keep that in mind when I read this essay to you. Okay, this is "The Pussification of the Western Male" by Kim Du Toit, who was a very big war blogger of this era. "We have become a nation of women. It wasn't always this way, of course. There was a time when men put their signatures to a document, knowing full well that this single act would result in their execution if captured and in their forfeiture of their property to the state. Their wives and children would be turned out by the soldiers, and their farms and businesses most probably given to someone who didn't sign the document. There was a time when men went to their certain death with expressions like, 'You can all go to hell. I'm going to Texas.' In parentheses, Davy Crockett to the House of Representatives before going to the Alamo."
Davy Crockett, by the way, absolutely did not think he was going to die. Davy Crockett got executed after the battle. The whole time he was like, "No, man, come on. I was kidding."
"There was a time when men went to war, sometimes against their own families, so that other men could be free. There was a time when men went to war because we recognized evil when we saw it, and we knew it had to be stamped out. There was a time when a president of the United States threatened to punch a man in the face and kick him in the balls because the man had the temerity to say bad things about the president's daughter's singing. We're not like that anymore." Okay, that's the beginning. And here it captures the absolute giddiness of a basically a housebound anime fan that. Because, you know, Kim Du Toit, after he retired from political blogging, would just simply post photos of, like, lolly and, like, I don't know, just, like, anime schoolgirls and shit like that and be like, "This one's my favorite."
Yep.
The palpable giddiness that they felt about not them being at war, but America being at war, which means, de facto, they are at war.
Yeah.
And that, like, that the lives of every fucking, like, 18-year-old that we sent into Baghdad and all the people they killed over there, that was just fodder for this certain kind of, like I said, boomer to Gen X personality that had been like their entire lives up till 9/11 was one giant failure to be a man.
Yeah.
And that now this was like, we now had, like, America now had a sort of like all the world is a stage. And it is like, and then you watch the news to see evidence of your own masculinity, and to the extent to which we succeed or fail in the war on terror is a like psychic tabulation of your own masculinity.
Yeah. Christopher Hitchens admitted it. He said, "When I saw the towers go down, I got hard." I mean, basically, that's what he said. He's like, there was what was the word he used? He said he was exhilarated.
Exhilarated, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that was the first hard-on he had in years, fucking gin-soaked wretch that he is. But yeah, he says, "We're not like that anymore. Now, little boys in grade school are suspended for playing cowboys and Indians, cops and crooks, and all the other familiar variations of good guy versus bad guy that help them learn at an early age what it was like to have decent men hunt you down because you were a lawbreaker." Is that the lessons that kids learn from playing cops and robbers? I mean, you know, I always like to be the robber. I root for the bad guy.
So does Kim Du Toit.
Yeah. Now men are taught that violence is bad. That when a thief breaks into your house or threatens you in the street, that the proper way to deal with this is to give him what he wants instead of taking a horsewhip to the rascal or shooting him dead where he stands. Just look up an image of Kim Du Toit when you're reading this. The idea that this guy has ever been the victim of or done violence to anyone in his life for any reason is laughable. It's insane.
Kim Du Toit kind of looks like he could be like Movie Bob's dad.
Yes, he does. He absolutely does. Now, he goes on. Now, men's fashion includes not a man dressed in a three-piece suit, but a tight sweater worn by a man with breasts. It's like, dude, you have tits.
You got them
realize
titties,
that, right?
dude.
He's got some sweat. He's got some tig holes. But, see what I mean? Like, you can see the DNA of Trump in here because it's just like, it starts out like, we used to horsewhip cattle rustlers around these parts or just hang them high. And then he's like, fashion today is so messy. What happened to the three-piece suit? Don't we...
No stars. This is the genesis of Roman statue, guys, happened in the embers of 9/11.
Yeah. Now he says, now warning labels are indelibly etched into gun barrels, as though men have somehow forgotten that guns are dangerous things. Now, men are given Ritalin as little boys, so their natural aggressiveness, curiosity, and restlessness can be trolled instead of nurtured and directed. And finally, our president, who happens to have been a qualified fighter pilot, lands on an aircraft carrier wearing a flight suit and is immediately dismissed with words like swaggering, macho, and the favorite epithet of Euro girly men, cowboy. Of course he was bound to get that reaction, and most especially from the press in Europe, because of the process of male pussification over there is almost complete. How did we get to this? In the first instance, we have to understand that America is first and foremost a culture dominated by one figure, mother. It wasn't always so. There was a time when it was father who ruled the home, worked at his job, and voted. So you see the DNA of like the manosphere and kind of like incel, this idea that the most oppressive force in American life is the gynocracy.
Yeah.
It's mother. It's mother telling you to clean up your room. It's mother telling you to eat your vegetables, and that this has made America weak. And we must. And again, like the the people least suited to the task, we're now going to take up arms to rekindle patriarchal authority, sort of like a masculine vigor, sort of running roughshod and being brave and bold and spitting and shooting and chewing. Among a set of people who would get winded walking down a flight of stairs. He goes, in the 20th century, women became more and more involved in the body politic and in industry and in the media. And mostly, this has not been a good thing. When women got the vote, it was inevitable that the government was going to become more powerful, more intrusive, and more protective, because women are hardwired to treasure security more than uncertainty and danger. It was therefore inevitable that their feminine influence on politics was going to emphasize, lowercase s, social security. I am aware of the fury that this statement is going to arouse, and I don't give a fig. What I care about...
Damn.
Not a single fig?
Yeah, I'm in NORAD looking at like 8 screens. We got a problem, Major. We thought he was going to give a fig. There's no sign of a fig. He's fresh out. And we're looking for signs of him giving a care. He's not even doing that. This fat boy is crazy.
I came here to eat figs and to kick butt, and I'm all out of figs.
And I have a cyst in my lower leg. So I'm just going to write this article.
He goes, I'm going to illustrate this by talking about TV, because TV is a reliable barometer of our culture. Of course you're going to talk about TV. It's all you do.
Yeah.
You don't have any other points of reference.
What else? Some anthropological research. Click.
What else would you talk about? What else do you know?
He goes,
I'm going to talk about like a place in my life where I see masculinity disappearing. The packaging of frozen dinners. There used to be a strong man putting the hungry man into the oven. And now it's some bitch.
Felix, you joke, but like, listen to where this goes. He goes, in the 1950s, the TV dad was seen as the lovable goofball, perhaps the beginning of the trend, but he was still the one who brought home the bacon and was the main source of discipline. Think of the line, wait until your father gets home. From that, we went to this, the Cheerios TV ad.
Oh my God.
And he goes,
these guys haven't gotten a new act in like 30 years. What the fuck?
He goes, now for those who haven't seen this piece of shit, and now here's just another thing I'd like to point out about Kim Du Toit. He cusses in this article, but he misspells the cuss words. He spells shit here SCHIT. He's sort of like the Zodiac killer. I mean, I don't know. Like, so like apparently, actually writing a curse word is too rough and tumble and masculine for him because he can't bring himself to just write shit. He has to sort of like. He's like, I don't know. What this is a family blog?
Kids come here to learn horrific bloodlust. I don't want them to be exposed to bad language.
Now, for those of you who haven't seen this piece of shit, I'm going to go over it from memory because it epitomizes everything I hate about the campaign to pussify men. The scene opens at the morning breakfast table where the two kids are sitting with dad at the table while mom prepares the stuff on the kitchen counter. The dialogue goes something like this. Little girl, note, not little boy. Daddy, why do we eat Cheerios? Dad, because they contain fiber and all sorts of stuff that's good for the heart. I eat it now because of that. Little girl, did you always eat stuff that was bad for your heart, Daddy? Dad, humorously, I did until I met your mother. Mother, not humorously. Daddy did a lot of stupid things before he met your mother. Now, every time I see that TV ad, I have to be restrained from shooting the TV with a .45 Colt. If you want a microcosm of how men have become less men, this is the perfect example. Kim, you're right. If you want an example about how men have become pussies, that previous sentence where a Cheerios ad makes you man enough to shoot your television with a gun is a perfect example of the phenomenon you're talking about. And guess what? Did you shoot your TV with a gun? No,
Couldn't
because
even
you
do
want to
it.
watch more TV.
Yeah, exactly. How am I going to watch my programs if I shoot my TV?
Okay, and he goes on to keep. Okay, he talks about TV for so long here. He goes. I goes. What Dad should have replied to Mommy's little dig. He's coming up with. he's coming up with zingers that the dad in a TV commercial should have fucking clapped back with.
Being such a bitch that you can't even do this for your own life. You can't even come up with comebacks for your own life.
Yeah. If I was that guy in that commercial, let me tell you what I would have said to that piece of work.
If I had a wife who corrected me, this is what I'd say to her. Yes, Sally, that's true. I did a lot of stupid things before I met your mother. I even slept with your Aunt Ruth a few times before I met your mother.
Hell,
Like, why
dude,
did
that's
you say
That would be psychotic. Don't
Yeah,
say
why
that.
would you say that?
The most manly thing you can do is take out your psychoses on your kid.
Yeah. And he goes, then he goes, you know what? Some women deserve to be single moms. And he goes,
What's up?
He goes, that's what I would have said anyway if my wife had ever attempted to castrate me in front of the kids like that. Dude, homie, you just got castrated by a Cheerios commercial. If your wife took your balls and it's just, they're already in a jar, man. Like, just give up. But this is what I'm saying. Like, this is why this kind of person, this is where their absolute bloodlust to commit genocide in the Middle East comes from.
Yep.
This is the only way that they could feel a little twinge in their little worm in between their legs. It's the only way that they could just sort of accrue for themselves some feeling of strength, potency, and fucking masculinity at all.
Yeah.
These guys, and this is the way they went about doing it. Because, like I said, at the end of the day, he's being riled up by a fucking Cheerios ad and feeling castrated by it. It's like, dude, you don't have a dick to begin with. You haven't seen your dick in 30 years. Just that's why we have to kill every Muslim person on the planet. Is because of a Cheerios ad this guy saw. He goes on here. He says, when I first started this website, I think my primary aim was to blow off steam at the stupidity of our society. Because I have fairly set views on what constitutes right and wrong, I have no difficulty in calling Bill Clinton, for example, an effing liar and hypocrite. But most of all, I do this website because I love being a man. Amongst other things.
Okay, stop. Yeah, that's it. That's okay, we found it. That's American conservatism.
Yep.
I'm a webmaster. because I'm in the tradition of Davy Crockett and the Green Berets.
There we go here. Most of all, I do this website because I love being a man. There you go. That's the last 20 years, folks.
That's like
that's the last 20 years
those are
of
the
American
pamphlets
culture.
we should have dropped on Baghdad. It's like it's like, why are we doing this? This is why. This is who we are. This is us.
There is still quite a bit to this essay. Why don't we stop here and save part 2 of the Pussification of the Western Male for episode 2? We left off in the middle of the seminal war blogger essay, The Pussification of the Western Male by Kim Du Toit. And I would say overall we learned that being on the computer makes you a man. And that, like, for liberals, 9/11 provided a media and cultural context to get over their feelings of guilt and shame about Vietnam. Not guilt and shame about killing 4 million people in Indochina, but not participating in it, being opposed to the war, and just generally their feeling of like missing out on the opportunity to be the greatest generation, because the war that they had to fight, we were the bad guys. And that now with the war on terror, we could finally have a war that their kids could fight in which you could be the good guys.
Yay.
That was the hope. And then for the right, for conservatives, essentially it gave them the opportunity to get a boner for the first time in their entire lives. I mean, it gave them a canvas on which to paint all of their fantasies of thwarted masculinity. Thwarted not by society or the feminized culture we live in, but by themselves. Let's be honest. I mean, they have thwarted any chance for them to have balls or be men, even in their own weird blinkered definition of it, by largely avoiding anything fun or dangerous for their entire lives. And now, through being on the computer, watching TV, and writing essays, they too could be enlisted in a noble clash of civilizations and part of a valiant struggle against evil, through which they could be like the cowboys of yore. So let's just dive right back into it. Continuing with our reading series, our mega reading series, The Pussification of the Western Male. We last left off, Kim was basically getting angry at a Cheerios commercial. As we left off last time, I'm just going to read it again. But most of all, I do this website because I love being a man. Amongst other things, I talk about guns, self-defense, politics, beautiful women, sports, warfare, hunting, and power tools. All of the things that make being a man entails. All this stuff gives
all the wonderful products I buy to make me feel like I'm a man.
All this stuff gives me pleasure. And it doesn't take much to see when all the things I love are being threatened. For instance, when Tim Allen's excellent comedy routine on being a man is reduced to an effing sitcom called Home Improvement. I mean, this is the thing. This is the thing that makes him mad.
He's talking about Tim Allen like he's Pryor. Gives a pretty good insight on this
his
guy.
Scorching, incendiary stand-up is turned into this fucking sitcom pablum.
Yeah.
The thing where he would just go and go, I like power tools.
Yeah. The show should have been called Man Improvement, because that's what every single plot line entailed. Turning a man into a better person instead of just leaving him alone to work on restoring the vintage sports car in his garage. I stopped watching the show after about 4 episodes. I mean, when did Home Improvement premiere on American television? Like
let me look it up.
the early 90s, right?
Like 92 or something?
This guy spent a decade
91, yeah.
Yeah, this guy spent a decade being angry at Home Improvement.
Yep, just stewing. Oh, you fucking asshole.
Because he watched 4 episodes where there was like a couple jokes about, like, you know, Bonnie Bedelia or whatever. It was like, you know, Bonnie Bedelia was her name?
Patricia Richardson.
Patricia Richardson.
Yeah, it's like, I watched 4 episodes and he never smacked her around once. Unfollowing.
So he goes here, I stopped watching the show after about 4 episodes. The Man Show was better, at least for the first season. Men leering at chicks, men effing around with ridiculous games like pin the bra on the boobies, men having beer drinking competition, and women on trampolines. Excellent stuff, only not strong enough. I don't watch it anymore either, because it's plain that the idea has been subverted by girly men and turned into a parody of itself.
Does he elaborate on that thought?
No, he doesn't. He just, he was like, I only like the first scene of the Man Show when it was like, you're not self-aware at all, right? Like, at no point he picked up on any of this. He's like, yeah, Davy Crockett, Thomas Jefferson, men cut from their cloth who were interested in things like pin the bra on the boobies.
Yeah, Davy Crockett, Audrey Murphy, Adam Carolla. I wish he was able to live to see the two different directions, Carolla and Kimmel.
Yeah. But
Adam Carolla is still a man. Jimmy Kimmel may cry literally every episode of TV he's on. Jimmy Kimmel may cry during sound check. Adam Carolla is still doing the most masculine thing possible, which is going to college campuses with Dennis Prager and going, have you ever noticed that Mexicans always bend the brim on their hats? That's masculinity.
I like that
the guy who would kill his wife if he needed to.
I like that.
Means to be a man.
I like the idea that he stopped liking the Man Show when it became a parody of itself. What, unlike the first pilot episode, like when he didn't pick up on that.
It used to really be it was about the girls dancing on trampolines. Now they're just trying to make a joke of the whole thing.
But would you believe it? Kim is not done complaining about television shows that he has to watch. So he says, finally, we come to the TV show, which to my mind epitomizes everything bad about what we have become. Queer Eye for the straight guy. Playing on the Homo Bravo channel, this piece of excrement has taken over the popular culture by storm. And so far, the only counter has been the wonderful South Park episode, which took it apart for the bullshit it is. Again, shit spelled S-C-H-I-T, and effing here is, of course, all starred out.
Was this a thing like he thought he would get in trouble if he said, did he ever explain this bizarre behavior?
I don't know. I'd have to do a lore dive into Kim Du Toit. But he goes here, I'm sorry, but the premise of the show nauseates me. A bunch of homosexuals trying to improve ordinary men into something better, i.e. more acceptable to women, changing the guy's clothes, his home decor, his music, for fuck's sake, or F's sake. What kind of girly man would allow these simpering butt bandits to change his life around? I don't know. Maybe any guy who's interested in getting laid anytime in the next 20 years. Like maybe
that's the least manly
maybe
thing.
Like tuck in your shirt, clean up your house. Maybe you could like. That's the whole point of Queer Eye for the straight guy was about getting guys laid.
Yeah.
And it was like, you could be offended by the premise, but really what that show is about is that if you are a heterosexual man, you can be a solid 5. And as long as you just basically like have some sense of how to dress and then like an apartment that isn't decorated with fat heads, women will fuck you. It doesn't take that much.
Yeah, but you can't just go to the market and buy a wife. I think that's really the thing that he's objecting to.
No, yeah,
you
exactly.
actually have to like.
He's like that men that men have to go to effort to like attract a woman and become better or more attractive to a woman he thinks that he deserves or whatever. That's feminization. That's the pussification of our culture.
Weird how this guy ended up just cataloging Japanese animated pornography.
I goes here. Yes, the men are, by and large, big F slobs. Big effing deal. Last time I looked, that's normal. Men are slobs, and that only changes when women try to civilize them by marriage. That's the natural order of things. So, if you want to get married, you got to play along, dude.
Yeah.
If you want a wife.
He's really at the stuff of, like, it's gay to get pussy. Like, that's basically where he is with this.
He goes, the definition of homosexual men we used in Chicago? Men with small dogs who own very tidy apartments.
That's not very catchy, dude.
Felix, do you remember that one?
That's way longer than just saying gay guy.
Yeah.
It's also like, if you're like that homophobic, like how many gay guys' apartments have you seen?
He goes, real men, on the other hand, have big effing mean-ass dogs. Rhodesian Ridgebacks, Bull Terriers, and Rottweilers. Or else working dogs like Pointers or Retrievers, which go hunting with them and slobber all over the furniture. Women own lap dogs. Which is why women are trying to get dog fighting and cockfighting banned.
Okay, has Kim Du Toit ever been to a dog fight?
I highly doubt it.
No, like what the fuck are you talking about? You don't go to those.
The one thing that I'm getting from this is that being a man is about being constantly at every moment of your life in an absolute panic about not sufficiently presenting as a man.
No, yeah, this is literally all about performing for other ostensibly straight men.
Yeah.
This is the gayest shit you can do.
And
It's wildly gay. It's like an alien trying to like figure out, okay, what do I have to do to not get found out?
Yeah,
And
this is
also performing.
this is like charades. It's like, okay, show you're not gay without ever getting pussy.
And not only this is performing masculinity on the internet to an audience of exclusively other housebound internet broken men who are, breathe through their mouths and fucking like and squirt a little piss in their pants every time they get angry. He goes here, which is why women are trying to get dog and cockfighting banned. They'd ban boxing too if they could, because it's mean and cruel. No shit, Shirley. Hell, I don't like the idea of dogs fighting, but I don't have a problem with men who do. Dogs and cocks fight. So do men. No wonder we have an affinity for it. This guy's just talking about his affinity for cock right now. He goes, my website has become fairly popular with men, and in the beginning, this really surprised me because I didn't think I was doing anything special. That's not what I think now. I must have had well over 5,000 men write me to say stuff like, yes, I agree. I was so angry when I read about insert atrocity of choice, but I thought I was the only one. You're not alone, my friends, and nor am I. Out there is a huge number of men who are sick of it. We're sick of being made figures of fun and ridicule. We're sick of having girly men like journalists, advertising agency execs, and movie stars decide on what is a man. We're sick of women treating us like children, and we're really effing sick of girly men politicians who pander to women by passing an ever-increasing raft of nanny laws and regulations, the legal equivalent of public school Ritalin, which prevent us from hunting, racing our cars and motorcycles, smoking, flirting with women at the office, getting into fistfights over women, shooting criminals, and doing all the fine things which being a man is entailed. Okay. Do you imagine that Kim Du Toit has ever in his actual life done any of the things that he just talked about?
I don't think he knows anyone who's done.
He watched a hell of a lot of them on television, though.
He doesn't know anyone who's done those things. He only knows other hymns.
This goes on and on. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit here. He goes, F this, I'm sick of it. I don't see why I should put up with any of this bullshit any longer. Hell, I don't see why any man should put up with this bullshit any longer. Oh, he actually wrote bullshit there.
Whoa, he was getting a little hot.
And he goes, at this point, I could have gone two ways. The first would be to say, and I don't know if we'll get back. The process has become too entrenched. The cultural zeitgeist of men as girls has become part of the social fabric, and there's not much we can do about it. But I'm not going to do that. To quote John Belushi, who was incidentally a real man and not an effing woman, did we quit when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Well, I'm not going to quit. F that. One of the characteristics of the non-pussified man, and this should strike fear into the hearts of women and girly men everywhere, is that he never quits just because the odds seem overwhelming. Omaha Beach, guys. So, his dad's generation stormed the beaches of Normandy, and he is like, for him, his similar crucible is having to see Queer Eye for the Straight Guy on TV. And he's also talking about this should strike terror into the hearts of women and girly men everywhere. I understand why he wants to make girly men afraid, but he's like, fellas, we need to make women afraid again.
That's how you get pussy, is you scare a woman. That's why the number one destination to take a girl on a first date is a haunted maze.
He goes, and here's we get into like the 9/11 and the politics of all of this. He says, I want a real man as president, not Al Gore, who had to hire a consultant to show him how to be an alpha male and French kiss his wife on live TV to prove to the world that he was a man, when we all knew real men don't have to do that, bleep.
Real men don't even ever have to touch a woman.
Yeah.
And often don't.
And I want the real man president to surround himself with other real men like Rumsfeld and Ashcroft and Yes Rice, who is more of a real man than those ass wipes, Colin Powell and Norman Mineta. Ooh, he's going in on Norman Mineta.
Damn, spare him.
No sacred cows here. People forget Norman Mineta fever was sweeping the nation at this time. Like we talked in the last episode about being canceled. You would be canceled if you were a woman who didn't fuck Norman Mineta. I'm not just talking about famous women. Any woman. He was like, most Zoomers you see who are named like Clayton right now, they're sons of Norman Mineta.
The sons of Norman.
Yeah. But he went in because he's gay as fuck. I do like, if you're trying to do this like real men, like, it's obviously it's all stupid, and it's stupid for George W. Bush or Dick Cheney, but makes you can sort of get it. But like John Ashcroft,
One of the
What
singing
has
senators.
John Ashcroft ever done that like scans as like hyper masculine?
He sings in a barbershop quartet and spent $8,000 to cover the tits on a statue.
yeah. John Ashcroft would have like a press conference where it's like, we are going to entrap 3,000 mentally disabled Muslims. Anyway, I'm going to sing a song to everyone.
Hello, my baby.
He sang
Hello,
a song
my
called
honey.
"Let the Eagle Soar."
Yeah.
So, like, he made everyone listen to him sing a song.
Okay, everybody, gather around.
Places, everybody. Yeah, I'm not talking about fucking pussies. I'm talking about real men like Marcus Bachman,
Larry Craig.
Matt Schlapp, yeah.
Larry Craig, yeah.
So, I mean, I'm skipping a couple paragraphs because he just talks about how he wants movies to be like Clint Eastwood movies, and he wants books to be more manly. But he goes here, because that's all. Oh, he gets mad at a woman playing on the PGA golf tour. He goes, because that's what being a real man involves. You don't have to become some effing cartoon male either. Oh, you don't? You don't? He goes, I'm not going back to stoning women for adultery like those Muslim assholes do it. He spells as A-Z-Z. Nor am I suggesting that we support a perversion of being a real man. Gangster rap artists, those effing bleep, they wouldn't last 30 seconds against a couple of genuine tough guys that I know.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Absolute. Okay. I would like to see how Suge Knight does against War Room Carmichael. I'd like to see, dude, take all of Death Row Records, go to Now. Take everyone from O Block, put them against the Cigars and Ham Steak web ring. They're dying.
And then, I mean, an essay like this would not be complete unless it has a fantasy about being like, they ever pull one of their guns pointing it sideways at me, I'd take it away from them and show them what a real man does with a gun. You know, just imagining that he's gonna some rappers will fuck with him and then he'll show him what a real man does, what a cowboy.
That's what always happens to rappers. The main thing they prey on is political bloggers. That's going to end.
So because they're threatened by their masculinity.
Yeah.
No, he says that. He says, speaking of rap music, do you want to know why more white boys buy that crap than black boys do? Well, I mean, because there are more white boys in this country than black ones. He goes, you know why rape is such a problem on college campuses? Why binge drinking is such a problem on college freshmen? It's a reaction against being pussified. And I understand it completely. Young males are aggressive. They do fight amongst themselves. They are destructive. And all of this does happen for a purpose because only the strong men propagate. And women know it. You want to know why I know this to be true? Because powerful men still attract women. Women, even liberal women, swooned over George Bush in the naval aviator's uniform. Donald Trump still gets access to some of the most beautiful beep bleep available, despite looking like a medieval gargoyle.
And he loves it. He loves getting that bleep.
Oh, he can't get it out.
It's his favorite thing.
There's nothing Trump loves more than some of those hot female vaginas and butts that he loves to get involved with.
He loves having sex. He loves having sex exactly how it's depicted in Beetle Bailey.
He loves running around a table, chasing after a woman.
I did it. It was tremendous. It's amazing. He had like 4 kids doing that.
It is crazy.
He must. Yeah.
I always kind of thought that they just like they pulled out the semen like with a silly straw while he was sleeping or something.
Well, you know what I said about like Trump's cum, that it's like the lead in a mechanical pencil.
Yeah,
you just have to suck it out, and
you got to keep clicking it until it drops out.
Yeah. That's the longest pull yet.
All right, this is actually my favorite. This is my favorite sentence in the whole essay. He talks about George Bush and like even liberal women wanting to fuck him because he looks so good in that flight suit. Yeah. But he goes here, Donald Rumsfeld, if he wanted to, could F 90% of all the women over 50 if he wanted to, and a goodly portion of the younger ones too. Donald Rumsfeld could F every woman in America over 50 and most of their daughters too. And he goes here, and he won't, because Rummy's been married to the same woman for 50 years and he wouldn't toss that away for a quickie. He's a real man. No wonder the Euros hate and fear him. Last sentence of the essay.
Facts.
We'd better get more like him. We'd better become more like him, because if we don't, men will become a footnote to history. Well, I mean, that sums it up. I mean, we need to get a lot more like Donald Rumsfeld, and I guess we didn't do that because now the Taliban control Afghanistan 20 years after this. So I guess men are extinct now. Sorry, Kim, and as are you. You're nothing now. So
Yeah, you died, dude. I'm sorry.